At this point, I feel like we're doing best of the best because we are back with another episode of the best where I do my favorite order from each restaurant or category. And we are at my favorite of the chain steakhouses, Texas Roadhouse. I have had the entire menu this year as well. And it is, to me, just super elite. So I got my favorite appetizer, I got my favorite entree, and then of course my favorite dessert, and that is what's on the agenda today. I love Texas Roadhouse. I feel like it needs no introduction. There aren't that many around here though, believe it or not. But if you're not new to the channel, I wonder if you know what I picked based off of the last videos. But let's find out. Let's start off with our appetizers, and of course, I guess we could just start off with this. It comes complimentary, but I feel like it still needs to be talked about. We have the Texas Roadhouse big booty buns, big booty rolls, whatever you want to call them, with the cinnamon honey butter, which I don't know why they only gave me like a little bit with this one and a lot of bit with this one. But there's no way you start off a Texas Roadhouse meal without having this. I'm just going to get up in here with that honey cinnamon butter. Yeah, see, that's all you needed. When it comes to these rolls, it's almost like I could probably go there and just get these and call it a day. I would never do that. But whatever it is, a lot of these restaurants do really good with these things. Red Lobster Cheddar Bay Biscuits. Cheesecake Factory, another one underrated, with their fresh warm bread that they bring out. But to me, this is right there with it. What really makes it for me is this cinnamon butter. I've given this a 14 out of 10 before. And I'm never going to start a Texas Roadhouse video without paying homage to one of the goats. But let's actually go to our appetizer. This was actually tough for me because it was between two things. The cactus blossom and these. I'm going to give it to the rattlesnake bites. I really enjoyed these. They're just spicy fried pieces of cheese or cheese balls, whatever you want to call them. And then it comes with the Cajun horseradish, which also comes with their cactus blossom. It's the same thing. I like the cactus blossom, but I think Outback's is slightly better. And this is like very proprietary to them. And I just think it's really good. So we got the rattlesnake bites. It's a fried ball of queso. Spicy queso, jalapeno queso. You can sign me up for that any day. These things are still hot as hell. Something I did, I'm not going to do in this video because I didn't get it. You can also take these if you got some extra. This is a big back move, but you gotta just hear me out. Put this on your burger when you order it. It'll do something to you. Okay, stop eating these. Rattlesnake bites. Favorite appetizer from Texas Roadhouse. But this is one of the things that I love from Texas Roadhouse the most, and that is their entree. I like a lot of their entrees, and this again was very hard to pick, but I whittled it down to what I would get if I had to say, okay, you got to get one thing. Everybody always asks me for one thing, so this is the best I could do. You'll see in a second. So we have the Texas Roadhouse ribeye. You get a side of ribs, costs an extra $10. Comes out to 40 bucks, by the way. And then you get, of course, their seasoned rice. Now, there was a part of me that was only going to get the seasoned rice and not another side, just get it twice. You can ask for the same thing twice, a double order, but I didn't. I did something that I would really do. Double carbs, and we got a chili cheese baked potato. A little chili, little cheese on there. I didn't want the butter or the sour cream or nothing. I like chili and cheese, so I wanted to try. Can you please get the hell out of the way? But let's get into the steak. Where's my... I can actually use a real knife because I'm at the crib, which is always a good thing. Yes. I get it with the smothered onions and mushrooms as well. When you're talking about cost per dollar and enjoyability of this steak, I would take this before some of the high-end chain steakhouses that I've done on this very channel. It's a very large portion. It's seasoned with their steakhouse seasoning, so it's not just a normal steak. And I like the smothered peppers or the onions and the mushrooms. There we go. And they do it right. I didn't cut that well enough. Look at that. I was afraid taking this home in the heated container of it overcooking, but it looks like it still did okay. This to me is one of the best sides at any chain that you can get. Their seasoned rice is just built different. It really is. I gotta do the combo. I have to do the combo. Why do I have 2 forks? I grabbed the plastic fork. I gotta do the combo. It just needs to happen. The seasoned rice and steak combo will be one of the best things you'll get from any of these places. Any of them. If you're going to get one thing and you're a steak person, this is the Texas Roadhouse meal. If you want to get greedy, because I do like their ribs, you can also get an additional ribs for $10, which again will bring your meal up to about $40. Without ribs, this comes out to $33, which is very good for what you're getting. But nice sticky amount of barbecue sauce. I asked for extra on the side, just in case. Am I going to sit here and tell you this is the greatest rib you'll ever have? No. Is it better than any of the chain ribs that I've had so far? And I've had all of them. Yeah. There's been a couple of you in the comment section basically telling me that Texas Roadhouse is one of the few places that makes most of their food from scratch, including their steak dishes. They get them butchered there. And a lot of places don't necessarily do that. I didn't know that, but I believe you because I've been saying that from the beginning. Then you have the chili cheese baked potato. They do a nice baked potato here. Again, baked potatoes, I mean, you can make one of these at the crib, of course, but it's roasted. They salt the outside so the skin is nice. And you can get the chili and cheese like I did. It's like a kicked up version of my favorite fast food one. Obviously, it tastes better than the fast food, but I always like a chili cheese baked potato. Let's try this with the Cajun horseradish. It's not necessary, but it'll definitely do something to you. But this right here, again, for steakhouse, $40, which is cheap for steak at a restaurant these days. I think you really can't go wrong with it, especially the seasoned rice. And finally, for dessert, now I don't know if this was because of me taking this home in the container or them serving me a busted pie, but they call it their Granny's Apple Classic. It's an apple pie, but it comes with this, which I had back in the summer again, and I thought this was elite. This is their honey cinnamon caramel sauce. So you're supposed to just drizzle that on the top like this. And it also comes with, I just pulled this out of the freezer, the ice cream. So just some regular vanilla ice cream. The first time I had this, I'm not really an apple pie person, but we were trying a whole menu, and I was like, bro, this is actually really good. So make sure you get that with the ice cream. You'd be surprised how good this is. That is good. Again, I'm not really an apple pie person, but it's this that's really the kicker. That kicks it up a notch. So just make sure you drizzle that where it needs to be drizzled. The crust. The apple pie itself is your run-of-the-mill apple pie. It's good, but it's nothing to write home about for me personally. I like the crust. It's nice and buttery. But with this ice cream and this combo right here, if you can make me like an apple pie like this, you deserve to be honest. They only have 3 desserts: strawberry shortcake, a brownie pie, and this apple pie. And I thought this was delicious, and I still do. This is really damn good. Now, as I always say, locations matter. We have done all of the major 3 of the steakhouses that are in that like casual steakhouse, I would call it. Average meal price around $40, somewhere around there. If you go to the high-end ones, you're gonna spend probably $100 a head when it's all said and done, if you get any sides, because the steak is like $60 to $70, depending on what you get. This is more of the casual chain steakhouses. And my rankings in 2024 have actually flip-flopped. So Texas Roadhouse is now my 1. Longhorn Steakhouse is now my 2. It used to be 3. And Outback Steakhouse, which used to be 1, is now 3. So this is why we do this every year. Things do change. Businesses do change. Business models do change. Ownership changes. And that's why people say, well, why are you writing 2024 update? Because that's literally what it is. We've been doing the best since I've been doing this channel every single year in December to kind of wrap the year up. And I find it enjoyable because things have changed a lot in all of these orders. And that's really, really dope. Where I live, I think Texas Roadhouse is the best as far as quality, pricing, service, food, and everything else. It might be different where you live, but for me, it's not even close. But I will give an honorable mention. Longhorn used to be my least favorite. They've crept up. Not quite Texas Roadhouse good, but they have some really good stuff in their menu. Let's see if we can get two of the best. We might just do the rest of this week because New Year's falls in the middle of the week. Normally it's the month of December, but we might just do that because there are a couple of places that I see the comments and requests for, and I do want to hit those as well. Again, when I see overwhelming versions of comments, that will always be where the content goes, so I appreciate y'all. I'm actually have this steak in my calories today, so I get to save this, which I'm really excited about. I might just finesse the ribs and the rice and have a protein shake, and that'll be it. And that the NFL is about to be finished. We got one more week left for most of us. Some of y'all are fortunate enough, you have teams good enough to go to the playoffs. Had to bring my drinks into the frame, but this is my friendly reminder to everyone, because sports fans are a little crazy, to just remember that nuance matters with certain things. So I'm going to give you a story because I know there's a lot of you like me that are hoping your team gets the first pick in a draft and tank. And a lot of my friends, I got a lot of crazy text messages because my friends are crazy, which I get, fans are crazy, about the Giants being mad that they won. Completely understand and agree from a fan perspective. I was watching this game going, they're actually going to win this damn game. And I felt it. And it's bittersweet because pragmatically, you don't want your team to win anymore. At least most Giants fans don't, because they want to get the first pick in the draft. And this kind of happened last year with Giants fans because last year we had the Tommy Cutlets renaissance where they rattled off. They even beat Green Bay at that point. A couple of good wins in a row, I believe 3 against some good teams. And then they quickly fell back down to earth and even blew the Eagles out on the last game of the season last year. In a game the Eagles wanted to win, the Giants, who are nowhere near as good as Philly, blew out Philadelphia. With that, we missed out on all of the top quarterbacks in the draft. We ended up picking at 6. We see how good Jaden Daniels is doing. So Giants fans don't want that to happen again. So I understand that. But there's some people that don't understand this too. I understand being upset at the situation, but being mad at the players for playing hard is crazy. Organizationally, they played backups in a lot of positions. They have a lot of their best players on injured reserve. And somehow, Drew Lock morphed into Peyton Manning today and threw for 4 touchdown passes and 300 yards, which is nuts. It's been a long time since the Giants put up 45 points in a game, and they managed to do it. They didn't turn the ball over once. I was laughing watching. I'm going, oh, man. Like I said, I don't want the team to win. But being mad at the players, you got to understand from an organizational and player perspective why a lot of these guys don't want to tank. One, the players don't know if they're going to be back next year. Very possible a lot of those guys don't end up back. Especially the fringe type of players. Like, you know, the stars, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and those guys will be back. But a lot of these guys are auditioning for a job. So, one thing that they will tell you in football is to put it on tape. You know, even high school players should do that because you want to put it on tape because you don't know who's watching and what that tape can do as far as getting you recruited. So, you never want to play a bad game. You never know. One of those players that balled out today might end up in the Colts next year. We don't know. From an organizational standpoint, people are calling for the coach to be fired anyway. I don't think it's going to change. So, he might not be back next year either. Why the hell would he want to tank? He doesn't care. He's just trying to win. But admittedly, as a fan, I'm like, damn, they actually going to win this game. It's crazy because they haven't played and scored that many points. Damn, probably not since Eli was there. But we can't even tank right. My whole point of this was don't get like. I've seen some really crazy stuff said about the players. Like, what do you want Drew Lock to do? He's playing for a job, and he probably won't be back on the Giants next year. And he wants to still play. So, he actually has a good game on tape, and that might just got him another year of employment. And as a competitive person, I don't think I could ever line up in anything and try to lose on purpose. Organizationally, they put them in the worst possible position to win. All their good players are out. You know what I'm saying? Other than Neighbors, who was insistent on playing, and guy's good, but it sucks. Just to give you some context and some kind of like consolation of this, don't think just because your team lost out on the first pick in the draft that it means that your team's A, not going to get a good quarterback, and B, just because you picked high up in the draft doesn't mean that you're going to be good. If you go back and look up all the first-round draft picks over the last decade, there's a lot of names that you forgot about, and there's also guys that went in the bottom of the first round, early second, in Tom Brady's case, sixth. Just because you're a first-round draft pick doesn't mean that you're going to be a Pro Bowler. Lamar Jackson got picked by the Ravens at the end, and I mean the very end of the first round. Had a starter in Joe Flacco and was meant to be a backup. Flacco got hurt. Funny enough, Joe Flacco played today. Guy's older than me. Nuts. But my whole point is, last year, or every year, it doesn't mean just because you're the first pick in the draft. It doesn't mean anything. Look back. It's crazy to say now. One of the craziest drafts, and I'm not old enough for Manning and Leaf. I mean, I was alive, but I don't remember. But one of the drafts I do remember was RG3 and Andrew Luck. One guy who was your generational quarterback prospect, can't miss, and is everybody's best quarterback. Then there was a Heisman winner coming out, which a lot of people considered can't miss, and the argument was, were these guys 1A and 1B? There was a campaign, people were holding up signs, pause, but it said suck for luck. Like, they were trying to tank their season for Andrew Luck. It didn't quite work out that way. Now, regardless of how it happened, it still didn't happen. Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III never were starting quarterbacks on a Super Bowl team. In that same draft, there were two guys. Neither of them were first-round picks. They were both middle-round picks, and those two guys, one goes by the name of Nick Foles, who wasn't drafted anywhere, expected to do anything. Now, he might not have had a great career, but ask Philly fans how they feel about Nick Foles. He was kind of just like an afterthought, but he did what he had to do. And the other one, believe it or not, was Russell Wilson, who was drafted in that same draft. The Washington, at the time, Redskins also picked another quarterback in the same year that they picked to be a backup, just in case, because they thought he was the best available player. He fell in the draft. His name was Kirk Cousins. He is still playing in the NFL till this day. And I know he's never won a Super Bowl, but he's had a very, very productive career. In that same year, there were two other quarterbacks selected in the first round. One was Ryan Tannehill. People probably remember Ryan Tannehill, had a pretty good career. The other one was the oldest quarterback drafted at the time. His name was Brandon Weeden. So don't put too much stake into tanking for a team, because if your organization sucks, you might end up ruining someone's career like you did Andrew Luck. That was my entire point of this, but I had to provide data behind that. So anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. I love y'all, man. We'll be back tomorrow. More content, man, and hand signs. They made it to YouTube.